Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Isolation Inspiration, and my name's Ken Hume. We're James Alexander, and today we have an old friend that's been on the show before, always gives a good lift and a great laugh. This is Viv The Spiv. Viv, welcome to the show. How are you?
All right, thanks, Ken. Yeah, you know what they say, don't you? Live and let spiv. I'm all right, mate. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you, Viv. Now, listen, what
Yes,
are you
mate.
doing for Christmas Day? Tell us about Christmas Day. What's happening?
Well, it's going to be a quiet one this year because my neighbour, who shouts at the telly a lot, he's got laryngitis, so that should help, shouldn't it? Won't be hearing too much from him. But it's going to be a strange Christmas Day. I usually go around my mother's, for a nice bit of dinner, but won't be doing that this year. So I popped out and got a couple of those ready meals. They don't cook themselves. You do have to do a bit, but it's but I'm just looking forward to just having a bit of quiet time, really, Ken. Just getting away from it all and there's always a lot on the telly. I'll tell you what's always on my telly: dust. But I'll be having a good. I'll probably have the longest day on again, won't they? And Morecambe and Wise 1984 Christmas special, which we've seen 300 times. But I'm looking forward to it, mate. I really am. Yeah.
Good. Glad to hear it. I know a lot of people out there are going to be on their own. So, it's nice to have you on the show and people feel like you're invited into their living room when you're on the space, don't they? Which is great. Tell me about changes to Christmas. Since we were young, what do you think main changes are?
I'll tell you what I have been thinking about. When we was young, Christmas Day, you'd look out the window, you see all their kids on their new bikes, wouldn't you? Do you remember that? You don't see that now, do you? It's all like sitting in the bedroom fiddling about on computers and obviously having kids, it's expensive. I mean, they don't want like colouring books no more, do they? Or a sock with an orange and apple and a shiny penny. All them days are gone, aren't they?
They are. Long gone.
Funny enough, my mate was telling me that his daughter wanted a tarantula spider for Christmas, of all things. And he said there was £80 in the shop. I said, why don't you just get one off the web, But I'll tell you what, another thing I notice about what you don't see anymore is carol singers. You used to get them coming round. Do you remember on the knocker?
You did. Yeah, absolutely. Used to love the old carol singers.
Yeah, in fact, the other week there was a bloke knocked at my door and he had a pair of women's tights in his hand and he was waving them round his head and he said to me, Merry Christmas. I said, well, what's that got to do with Christmas? He said, they're carols. Yeah, the times have changed, mate, haven't they? They really have, yeah.
They are, yeah. Now, I know normally you're touring up and down the country doing all sorts of vintage events and things. You've got a great fan base already. We've got comments on from Asa Brunton. Where's your train ticket? And hello, Viv, brother.
There's my old train ticket there. That's my ticket to ride, that is. I've always got the old train ticket, yeah.
So I know that you'll be missing that desperately because in the end, you are a performer by heart, aren't you? I mean, it's what you do. You must be really missing the company and the adoration of your fans.
It was what keeps me going, Ken. Anything to do with the fault is the music, the dancing, the fashions, doing these big shows. I'm in Palladium and War and Peace show, and I do a lot of stuff for Wayne Hemingway, all his vintage events. For Snowboy Mark Copgrove, he does a big event in Torquay every year called Riviera Swing, which is like a whole 4 days of like being transformed back into the 30s and 40s. I've done nothing this year except a tea dance, and that's it really. So I've really missed it. It really is. I mean, I'm starting to feel like this is what it's like being like when you're retired. You've got so much time on your hands, and I've only done so many jigsaw puzzles. I've done Thomas the Tank 3 times, and
I went around someone's house the other day and they were saying the same thing. Like, literally the jigsaw was out, and they said, tell me about it. I am the cliche of lockdown, and we all find stuff to do, but it's hard, isn't it? It's really hard, especially when you're a people person, as I know you are. I know you want to be out there amongst the people, having a chat, having a laugh, selling the watches. What watches you got for us today?
Well, I've actually got a nice selection, Ken. Look, there's a few there. Can you see them? And I've got some more here. These ones are actually called Santa Claus watches. Yeah, because they only work 1 day a year. You know what I mean? Santa Claus watches only work 1 day a year, These are Italian, but they all go backwards. And it don't matter if you don't want to pay me now. I'll always put it on tick, That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've also bought some. I don't know if you want it. It's only threepence a yard. Look, knicker elastic.
Got to have some. Yeah, got to have your nylons and your knicker elastic, haven't you? Back in the 40s.
Yeah, it's
And that's what
guaranteed
you
not
would have
to
done back
scratch.
then, isn't it, Viv? You'd have been out there wheeling and dealing and peddling those things. Maybe
That's
a ration
right.
of chocolate or two over that you could sell on, something like that. That would be
That's
what
right.
your character would be doing, right?
That's right. Getting out, flogging stuff. I mean, the spiv thing was concealing stuff on you. Like you'd have the watches up your arm. You wouldn't actually have them in a suitcase because if the law turned up, they've got all your gear. So you could just pull your sleeve up. Do you want to buy a watch, governor?
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to pay me now. Put it on tick. They're all ticking unlike their previous owners. I've got some lovely rolled gold ones here. All the gold's rolled off. This one's called a cricket watch. Look, there's the catch. They're all ticking and they're lovely, and you can have them now. Frooks a pound, two and a tenner. I do part exchange. I ain't got no Rolex, but I've got a couple of Timex, you know. But yeah, it was great. In fact, as you know, my granddad was a black marketeer in the war, and me, my mum, and family went without nothing. You know, they had a raker gear.
Yeah.
You know, the people used to come and knock at the door, and in the end, my nan got so fed up with it because there was like queues outside the house when they heard that my granddad had a couple of dozen tins of corned beef. They'd all be round there like, you know, on the knocker. But in fact, I actually met my wife at a Christmas dance, which was quite a surprise because I thought she was at home looking after the kids, you know. But yeah, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's happy days, and let's just keep positive. And this time next year, we can look back and say, "Cool, do you remember last year, Ken?
Yeah.
Sitting at home scratching our heads with the jigsaw puzzles out.
Yeah.
And
Now,
a box of dates with that long fork that snapped after the first time you poked it in. Do you remember them?
oh yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm just thinking to myself, you know, we were talking last time about dance, and I know that back in the 40s, the Brits got a little bit overtaken by the GIs by a certain dance, didn't they? What went on there?
Well, we used to do like stuff like foxtrot, quick step, and waltz. And when the Yanks come over in 41, you know, at the start of the build up to the Normandy landings on 6th of June, they brought that dance with them called the jitterbug, which was quite a lively kicking about dance.
Yeah, very.
And it caused trouble in the dance halls because they needed a bit more space to do that. They weren't just going around giving it all that, you know. And they used to put signs up saying no jitterbugging. And of course, the Yanks used to kick off, and then because they had better uniforms and more money, and I mean, our uniforms are made out of old blankets, weren't they? But they was all like, even their buttons they didn't have to polish, and of course they nicked all the tasty birds, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know, so the old British soldiers and Army and Navy Air Force blokes, they was like, they was on the back foot then, weren't they? They had no chance, did they? But
yeah,
and
must have been quite some time though, mustn't it? You know, going from all those kind of tea dances to all of a sudden seeing these raucous dances going on must have been kind of cool to see that happen.
Yeah, and the thing about that dancing is you ain't got to be brilliant at it. You only need to know a couple of 4 moves, and you're away. I mean, I dance a lot, and I'm not brilliant, but I love doing it. And
you are very good. I've seen you on the stage doing it. You're very good, Viv.
Cheers, governor. I'll do what I can, you know.
Yeah.
I've actually bought some new dancing shoes the other day. I bought them off a drug dealer. I don't know what he laced them with, but I keep tripping, you know. But yeah, it's, I mean, wonderful. And I don't know, this day last year, 22nd of December in 1940, my nan and granddad and my mum and my aunts were living in North London, and they went to the shelter that night. And when they come out in the morning, their house had gone. It had been demolished. That was in Chippenham Road in near Paddington. And that's what caused my nan and granddad and my aunts to move over to Malden, which is where I grew up, like you did, Ken. You know, so I often think when you go up that Chippenham Road now, there's like a row of houses, then there's a gap with a little block of flats in, and then they carry on, and that's where my mum's house was. So if that, I often think if that German had pulled that lever a bit late, you know,
you wouldn't be here.
No, it's crazy, isn't it? So cheers, Adolf.
There would be no Viv the Spiv.
There wouldn't, mate. No, not at all. No.
Yeah.
No.
And I remember a story about my father actually pushing my nan in the understairs cupboard because the doodle bug came down as well. So,
really,
it does make you realise that, you know, for the younger generation, it's hard to relate, isn't it? The idea that these bombs would come over and destroy people and their lives. But it was very real back then. And it does make you realise that as much as we're in a dark place now, there were dark places before. We did come out the other side, and we will come out of this again, you know.
Of course we will, mate. Yeah. I mean, my nan always used to tell a story about, I mean, back in the 40s, people lost their teeth quite early. I think they used to have them pulled out to save all the aggro of, you know, dentists and that. And one night they went down the shelter, and my nan had said to my granddad, "Come on, get down there." They had a flask, etc. And my granddad said to my nan, "Oh, I've left my teeth behind." So she said, "Don't be stupid." He said, "Hitler's dropping bombs, not ham rolls." Yeah, I've heard that story so many times, and yeah, it's but the humour was there, like it is now. I mean, this COVID thing. I mean,
Yeah.
some people are getting so down about it, but we know. I mean, every day that passes, we're getting nearer to the end. That's the way I look at it. You know, it's happened. We're moving to the end, and soon we're going to look back and say, "What a palaver."
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah. Let's hope it's sooner rather than later, Viv. Huh?
Yeah, not half. Yeah, that's what we want, isn't it, mate? Yeah. V for virus, V for victory. That's what I say.
Yeah, and looking forward to next year when you can actually get out and start doing some of these events. Presumably, first half is out, but maybe after the spring we might be looking at something. Let's hope.
Yeah, well, I've had lots of inquiries already, which is good. Some of the shows that were cancelled last year, the big shows, they're talking about, you know, starting things, the ball rolling and that after Christmas. So I've got lots of bookings already, and some of them are overlapping, which is good. You know, it's sometimes I get, like for last year. I mean, the May Day celebrations. I think I had like 50 inquiries for that 8th of May, and of course I couldn't do them all. But then it was all cancelled in the end, wasn't it? So I ended up with a case full of knicker elastic and nylons. But I'm sure I'll be able to move it next year. I won't do any discount though. You know, I'll keep the prices the same. Yeah, but that's what you know, keeps us going, and you know, and of course things like going to the barber. I mean, I can't take me out of because it just explode. Like, imagine a mattress exploding. That's what my barnet looks like under the old tip. But that's why I'm keeping me out on the day. But
yeah, I think we can all relate to that one right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, the old barber. In fact, when last time I went to the barbers, he'd finished the haircut and he said to me, "Do you want anything for the weekend, sir?" I said, "All right." Then he gave me a fishing rod and some maggots, you know. Yeah, but yeah, it's all good stuff, mate. We've got to keep positive and you know,
I think that's it. Yeah. Well, Viv The Spiv, you are an inspiration. Thanks ever so much for coming on the show again. It's such fun to have you on board. We always get such great feedback. I know your fans love to see you and really miss you. So, you know, shout out to them because I know that you're really looking forward to gigging again next year when you can get on that stage and give people the laughs that they need to hear. And you've certainly done that today. So thanks so much for coming on the show. I hope everybody's enjoyed it. I certainly have. And Viv will be back on the show, I hope, to give you some more isolation inspiration. Thanks,
anytime you want me back, Ken, just say the word, you know. And
we always want you back, Viv. We always want you back.
I'll just tell you quickly, my neighbour said that his wife wanted some underwear for Christmas, so he went to Ann Summers to look at some underwear, and he said, "Are these satin?" And the bloke in the shop said, "No, they've never been worn." Anyway, Merry Christmas, Ken and the family, and all my mates and all my friends out there. Have a lovely Christmas. Yeah. And don't forget the old saying, if you can't be good, be careful. And if you can't be careful, buy a pram. Viv The Spiv.
And on that note, happy Christmas, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have as good a time as you possibly can. Stay safe and well. Look after your families. Keep smiling and laughing. Thanks, Viv.
Cheers, Ken. All the best. Ta-ra, folks.